Colin, good afternoon. Welcome to the programme.
Hello.
Explain for us then, first of all, Colin, what's your stance on legalising cannabis?
Well, it shouldn't be legalised. There are all sorts of very powerful drugs that are used in medicine, and that's fine as long as there's proper testing and drug trials and things like that. And some derivatives of cannabis have been used for years in the treatment of sickness that comes from people having chemotherapy. So that's not new. There is a system in place. The system doesn't always work, as we've seen with this recent example, where the cannabis oil, I think, was legal in some EU countries, but it was for medical use. But we need to be careful here. A medical use argument can easily lead to legalization. That's exactly what's happened in states like Colorado in the United States, where really cannabis is being sold just like tobacco or a can of Coke, really. And use has shot through the roof. Cannabis is far more addictive than tobacco, far more carcinogenic. And cannabis kills people. If you are driving high on cannabis, you are a danger on the roads. And around 50 people every year are killed on the roads by somebody who is high on cannabis. And that happened to me. I had a cousin who was killed by a driver high on cannabis. It happens all the time. We should be reducing road deaths. We should not. The thing about being drunk is that you can be sober in the morning, and that's not true with cannabis, because it can be active even after 30 days of taking it. So it's very unpredictable in its effects. It doesn't wear off in a straight line in the same way that getting drunk wears off. So it's a very dangerous drug, and I'm glad the government are not going to change any laws.
Do you have any sympathy, or can you understand, I suppose, rather, the views of people who would say, I've known a loved one who is in pain, maybe they've got MS, and they've used cannabis, and it has actually helped them live a more fulfilling and more pain-free life?
Well, I think the issue is often to do with coordination with MS, isn't it? It's to do with muscle coordination, which you lose, really, and it can give the perception that you do have muscle coordination. There is one particular drug, which I understand from what the government has said, is available already. It's a derivative of cannabis. We're not talking about smoking dope. You don't smoke medicines, which is what people are talking about today, and it's a very silly idea. If you smoke cannabis, it's far more dangerous. It's about 8 times more carcinogenic than tobacco, and the particular extreme skunk that we've seen has been involved in lots of very dangerous incidents. People can become violent, and why is it that so often some of the it's even been found in people who've committed murder. People get themselves high on skunk, as we saw in the Lee Rigby case. So it's very dangerous. We should not change the law. Maybe you can't poison yourself with cannabis in the way that you can with other drugs, but it does affect you. It's strongly linked to mental illness, strongly linked to schizophrenia, and I'm very glad the Royal College of Psychiatrists have come out today pointing that fact out.
We heard earlier from Peter Reynolds from Clear on cannabis law reform, and he supports legalising cannabis both for medicinal and recreational use, and his viewpoint, not a Christian, but he said on this radio station that if God has given all plants, seed-bearing plants, for humans to use and to have, what's to stop people using cannabis? What would you say to that?
Well, Christians believe you shouldn't run away from your problems. I mean, taking cannabis is about intoxication. That doesn't happen if you have a glass of wine. You don't become intoxicated. Now, some might be teetotal, but I think most people will agree that doesn't happen. But the effects of cannabis can be completely unpredictable, and I have met parents whose child took cannabis once and they were turned schizophrenic. It's very dangerous, it's unpredictable, it's not like alcohol, it's far more dangerous. Now, we shouldn't be encouraging people to run away from their problems. That's what the Christian gospel is about, and so I think Christians should not support this move.
All right. Well, Colin, thank you very much for joining us on the News Hour today.